Yes, my people, what we saying, and welcome back to episode number 2 of MSCI Cooking with me. So in today's episode, we're going to be going through my 3 go-to meatless meals for gaining muscle. So predominantly, these meals are going to be clean and very high in protein, and they're easy to cook. So what is there missing? Nothing, we got it all. So in today's episode, we're going to be going through these 3 meals. Okay, so all 3 meals include obviously protein alternatives which you would use instead of the meat, but I promise you now, all of them are absolutely quality. A lot of the protein alternatives out there I'm not keen on, but I've included the ones in here which I absolutely love. Okay, so people, without further ado, let's get on to making the first meal, which is teriyaki chicken. Okay, so this is going to take around about 10 minutes to cook. It's a really easy one. So the ingredients we're going to need is obviously the corn chicken pieces, 1 red pepper. I'm using microwave rice purely for the convenience of making loads of meals today. However, obviously you can use whatever preferred rice you like. Also, we're going to use spring onion, tender stem broccoli, you can use normal broccoli as well, and teriyaki sauce. Okay, so we're going to start with prepping the veg. The red pepper, you're just going to cook that down either side. And also, you want to make sure that you get them really annoying white bits out inside. I don't know why they're in there. I don't think they should be invented. Okay, so we're going to slice it down because we want the peppers to be in strips. And then we're going to put them all into a bowl and just leave them aside. For me, all the veg that I like to prep, I put it all into one bowl because I'm going to season it all together. Okay, so the spring onion, we just want to chop that down so it's nice and small. It has not got to be a perfect 2 millimeters across, just small will do. Okay, so we're going to put that in the bowl again, and then we're going to move on to prepping the broccoli. So for me, I just put broccoli in the microwave for literally like a minute and a half or so with a little bit of water, because obviously we're going to fry this as well. So this is kind of just to like get it a little bit softer so it's not too raw. I'm cooking it because obviously we're not going to be frying everything for too long. Okay, so next we're going to get the bowl. I'm going to add the broccoli in and we're going to season all of the vegetables together. Starting with adding chili oil. If you haven't got chili oil, just use normal oil and maybe chili flakes. It's not that deep. I just like my teriyaki a little bit spicy. Okay, so standard essentials when prepping veg, salt and pepper. For me, it is an absolute must. Although vegetables ain't the main part of the meal, I do like them seasoned. I feel like you can make vegetables a lot nicer than they appear to be. So you gotta be extra when it comes to these things. All the little bits count. Okay, so next we're gonna prep the corn chicken pieces. I portion this out the exact same as I would normal chicken. It's literally the same principle. And like normal chicken, you need that season. You can't just be whacking it in a pan with no season on. So we're gonna be starting with adding a half of the teriyaki sauce in the chicken pieces. So I want to save some of the sauce for later, so just make sure that you've not absolutely drenched it and put the whole thing in. Okay, so we're going to give it a stir and you're going to make sure it's all mixed in, and then we're going to add standard again, some salt and some pepper, and we're going to give it one last little mix before setting it aside and putting it onto the pan. So I'm going to be using a griddle. You can use a normal saucepan, you can use a wok, you can use whatever you fancy. But for me, I literally just prefer using a griddle. I think it's just easier and everything just cooks nicely. And it also gets that charcoaly taste. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just psychological. Maybe I'm just used to cooking it this way. But anyway, we're then going to be adding the vegetables to the mixture as well. We're going to be putting these in for around about 5 minutes because you don't want all the vegetables too soft. You want everything nice and crunchy. Okay, so next we're going to return to the teriyaki sauce. I'm going to be covering all of the stuff in there in the teriyaki, and this is where it starts to look nice. Okay, so now we want to stir everything up, and we're just going to literally give it a stir, make sure every little thing is done. You don't want to be leaving out that odd pepper that's just in the corner of the pan, just dry, not seasoned, and just looking all miserable. Get everything involved, make sure everything is covered, and then after 3 minutes, everything should be looking a little bit drier, and we are ready to prep the meal. Okay, so like I said at the start, I just use microwave rice for the convenience of this video. Usually I'll be using hob rice. I don't know why I call it hob rice. It's just rice that you cook on the hob. But portion size, I've used a half of this, and I did use half of the corn chicken pieces in the bag. But if you're buying all these ingredients, like I said, it's going to cost between £5 and £7, which is actually quality for a solid 4 meals. But people, that is the first meal. That is a wrap. And as you can see, it is looking absolutely lovely. So people, that's the teriyaki chicken done. On to the next meal. Okay then people, so next up we are going to be making a stir fry using seasoned tofu. Again, I am not really usually keen on tofu, however this one here I've actually managed to find is unbelievable, and I think it's just a great alternative, high in protein, it's clean, so 100% recommend trying this one. Okay, so to start with, we're going to be using sesame oil. If you haven't got sesame oil, not to worry, just use any normal oil. This one's just a little bit more oriental. Okay, so we're going to start by putting stir fry vegetables onto the pan. Again, I'm using a griddle. It's probably preferred using a wok for this one. I'm going to be completely honest with you, so if you got a wok, use a wok instead. Okay, so next up, I'm going to be adding egg noodles. If you have not got egg noodles, there's loads of different alternatives you can use instead of egg noodles. Just go in the free from section in most stores and you'll find something. Okay, so I'm going to be adding chili flakes to this. I started to realize as I've been doing cooking videos that I must like spicy food because I add chili to absolutely everything I can find. So you're going to give this a little stir before adding the absolute essential in noodles, the one and only soya sauce. When you're making Asian food, I feel like soy sauce can just get involved in absolutely everything. It is honestly just one of them where I just think it's OG. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, so you're going to give this a stir, and then we're going to be adding the teriyaki tofu. So like I said, this is the best tofu I've found. Usually I'm not too keen on tofu. Okay, so next we are going to sauce this up. I've gone for plum and hoisin. However, any oriental sauce you find in the stir fry section will do. Okay, so after you've sauced it up, just have a look. It should be looking absolutely fantastic, to say the least. For me, I like my stir fry saucy. That is why I add the whole damn sauce in the stir fry. If you like it a little bit drier, obviously add less sauce, whatever your preference is. Chopsticks in, take it away and enjoy, and on to the final meal. Okay, so I wouldn't say this meal is the most complex to make, but by far it has got the most ingredients and probably prep time as well. So we're going to be making spicy sausage pasta using Linda McCarthy sausages. So for this, we are going to need 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, some chili, some garlic, some red fresh chilies, some pasta, obviously, mushrooms. Got to rearrange this as well just to make it look nice and pretty. 1 whole onion and your Linda McCarthy sausages. You can get these in a chorizo flavor as well, which would be absolutely ideal in this meal. Probably should have done that instead. Okay, so first and first, we're going to prep the sausages. I'm using 4 sausages, so it's going to probably do me around about 2 portions. So with the sausages, you want to just put some chili oil on. Again, Ellis with the chili oil. I know. Do you know what? I love it. I'm not even ashamed to say it. I just love chili oil. Okay, so after the chili oil, we're going to prep the onion. With the onion, you want it nice and diced. Nice and diced. That rhymed. That sounded pretty sick. So anyway, back to it. After you've diced the onion, you want to be putting it in a separate plate aside, just so we can move on to prepping the next veg. Okay, so next up, we're going to be prepping the mushrooms. So with the mushrooms, it is important we do these sliced, not diced. I know, that also rhymed. Man is on fire out here. But yeah, again, back to the cooking. We want to get these diced. Do it at an optimum speed. I tried to do it really quick here because I thought it looked really good on camera, but I nearly chopped my finger off. So just do it at a speed which kind of works for you. Don't be going crazy like me. It went really bad. So again, you want to put your vegetables aside so we can crack on to prep the next thing, which is the sauce. So for the sauce, we're going to need 1 tin of chopped tomatoes, followed by a teaspoon of quick garlic. Use chopped garlic if you haven't got this one. I think this one is so easy to cook with though. Same again, you can get the same brand with the chili. It's just quick and easy chili, followed by salt and pepper, an essential in every single sauce. You're gonna bang that on the blender. You wanna give it around about 10 to 20 seconds. You want it blitzed with no bits in at all, because we are going to be adding chopped tomatoes later to give it more of a chunkier, tomatoey taste. So next up, we're going to be chopping up 1 whole red chili. I know in a lot of recipes, people do the seedless chilies, you take the seeds out. No, we are adding the seeds, we are adding a lot. We want it spicy. If this is spicy sausage pasta, we want it with a kick. So like all the other vegetables, we want to set this aside, and you want to grab a saucepan for the pasta. I'm just showing you the size of an average saucepan with the average amount of water I use, followed by the average amount of pasta I use. I'm not going to put a timer there, put it on time lapse. Everyone should know by this ripe age how to cook pasta. So next on, we're going to start making up the sauce. So we're going to be adding chili oil again. If you haven't got chili oil, it's absolutely fine. Use a normal oil. I just kind of like a lot of my food spicy. So we're going to be adding it in the onion, and we want to fry this off for literally just a few minutes, just until it gets nice and sizzly and it makes a little bit of a sound like this. Next in, we're going to be adding the sliced mushrooms which you had aside, and you kind of want to just stir these about, add them in for a few minutes, followed by the sausages. And yes, the sausages have magically got put into pieces. This didn't happen magically in the oven. After you take them out of the oven, chop them up and just dice them, so you've got more individual pieces rather than just whole sausages in, because that's just not ideal for any pasta whatsoever. Okay, so yes, it is looking incredibly dry right now, so we're gonna sauce it up. We're gonna be adding the first bit of sauce into the pan. Everything that you blended in, you want to be adding it up, and you want to give that a stir. So you're gonna want to leave this for around about 5 minutes or so. None of these dishes take too long. I think that's one of the positives about having meat alternatives. Obviously, you've not got to wait for anything to not be raw, because it's kind of already semi-cooked. So after that, we're going to be adding the chili, and we're going to give that a stir again. By this point, everything should be looking absolutely wonderful, and then we are going to go on to add the pasta. So the pasta, you're just going to stir that in, and we're going to kind of add everything in and just leave it to set for a bit. Feel like longer you add sauce in and leave it, it just gets tastier and tastier by the minute. So yeah, just leave it to chill, let it have a party for around about 5 minutes. And then after that, we are going to be adding one more tin of chopped tomatoes. I cannot stand dry pasta. I like it moist, I like it rich, I like it dense. So we're gonna add the one more tin of chopped tomatoes, and it's kind of just gonna give it a little bit more of a chunkier texture in the sauce as well. So by now, it is looking pretty exquisite. It sounds exquisite. It needs to be eaten. We're gonna portion it up nice and slowly. Feel like slow we add it in, tastier it looks. It's kind of like the YouTube effect. I know, it's absolutely crazy. But that is a third and final meal complete. Have some cheese in it. Maybe you want to be good, don't add cheese in it, whatever is your preference. But people, that is it. I'm now going to be going over the nutrients of all 3 meals. Okay people, so we're going to take it back to the start with the corn teriyaki chicken. So this meal has 410 calories, 27 grams of protein, 62 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of fat. It's just an ideal macronutrient amount. I think it's just a quality meal, and also, as you can see, it's very clean with the low amount of fat involved. Okay, so next up, we've got more of a high calorific meal. Here we've got the tofu stir fry, which is 550 calories. So here we've got a nice 30 grams of protein, 56 grams of carbs, and 24 grams of fats. The fats are so high in here purely because we've used quite a lot of sauce, and also got the noodles, and tofu is quite calorific as well, so it does add to the fat amount. Okay, but for me, this meal is kind of ideal. When I'm building muscle, I don't mind consuming high calorie meals. I think it's just a part of the process to gaining a nice amount of size. Okay then people, so finally we've got the spicy sausage pasta. This meal's got a total of 430 calories, 27 grams of protein, 43 grams of carbs, and 16 grams of fat. This is a nice ideal macro amount yet again. It's not too dense. To be honest, although you've got the pasta in there, with the actual sausages in, it's quite light, and it's very light compared to when you have it with meat as well. I feel like you just don't get the stodgy, heavy feeling. But people, there are all the 3 meals. I hope you loved this video. Obviously, drop me a comment, like, subscribe, and all of that business. And do not forget to keep up the vibes. On to the next video. Respect.